And we're live here at Minas Mexican Restaurant at the Chapmanville Tiger State Tournament Tip-Off Show here with James Barker to my left. I'm Darryl McCoy, and we got the man responsible for all this, Coach Barker, the legend in the making, Brad Napper, here with us. And Coach, you spend a lot more time with him than I do, so I'll let you kick off.
Coach, congratulations on a great season so far. 20-3 record going into the state tournament, number 1 seed overall. I know you kind of started slow this year, and I think you'd admit that. What's kind of changed since that first game against Greater Beckley?
We've gotten in better shape, just playing with a lot more confidence, a lot more rhythm, and we kind of got all of our pieces now, and it's been a lot easier for me to rotate guys and keep guys fresh and keep everybody playing hard.
When you go back to that regional championship, co-championship, whatever you want to call it nowadays, against South Charleston, early in the game, I sensed a little frustration about not feeding the ball down the inside. Was that the game plan, feeding the ball on the inside? Yeah,
we always seem to play better if we go inside early the first 3 or 4 trips and try to get something at the rim, whether it's a drive or a post up or whatever. And then once we get kind of in a flow, we're a better shooting team when we're in flow.
Yeah, Coach, obviously you've been here before, but, this team's a fairly young team. A lot of your other teams, was veteran teams that made it to this point. How are you preparing for this trip down with a younger group? Is it new to you also?
Not really. We've had we were extremely young last year, and these guys are young. We're playing a lot of sophomores, but they're experienced sophomores, and they've played a lot of basketball. And I hold them to a high standard and expect a lot out of them. I expect them to play like juniors and seniors at this point.
Yeah, that run last year, obviously things didn't go the way that you wanted it to at the end, but do you think that loss last year, just that experience alone, will help this young group this time around?
Well, we hope. You never know how you're going to play until you get over there and they toss the ball up, but I fully expect these guys to be a lot more comfortable than they were a year ago and a lot more confident.
Yeah.
When you look at this year's team, you've based everything off the defensive end first and then go offense. Talk a little bit about that defense, because it's been lights out here recently.
Yeah, we've been a little bit more zone this year than traditionally. We're still 85% man-to-man, but normally we're 95% man-to-man. So we've been sprinkling a little bit more zone than normal. But, and I think our defense has gotten a lot better throughout the year. We struggled a little bit defensively early in the season. But we seem to be much better, playing much better defense lately.
Robert C. Byrd, a little similar to South Charleston. What type of things do they kind of do that maybe give you a little bit of trouble, some heartburn?
They're going to press more than South Charleston. They're going to play a little bit faster than South Charleston. They're not a typical 8 seed. They're really athletic. They got shooters, ball handlers, multiple ball handlers. They're deep. They play about 8 or 9 guys, and they're going to pressure you the whole game. And you got to take care of the ball, and you got to contest their 3-point shots and not give their shooters open looks.
I know you could talk basketball all day long, so I'm going to ask two off basketball questions. You're at Minas. What's your go-to order here at Minas?
Special El Primo.
Okay, yeah. All right, there you go. And number 2, tell us a little bit about that T-shirt for the regional championship game. That was awful special. That was an awesome moment.
Yep. It was. Arlie, Mamaw Bush's son, got that for us, and we wore that. We wanted to do that game for her, and she probably loved the team more than anybody,
yeah.
and being around the basketball program more than anybody. So we miss her. And we know she's happy right now, and if she was here, she'd be excited, and I'm sure she's watching
Absolutely.
Down on us.
Yeah, I seen you wore one, but did the whole team wear one?
No. Arlie had one. There was a few of them out there. Yep.
Now, Coach, coming in, starting this group right here, going back to the beginning of the season, you can tell that y'all got better at every position. Particularly, Logan's doing a tremendous job at point right now. I think playing his best ball. You go and you look. Dakota Dalton's playing at a completely different level. Benji, Eli, both of them seem to be coming in their own. Do you think some of the struggles early? It seems like y'all are a different team with and without Keaton. I know his production makes you a different team, but it seems like he kind of throws that safety net over them.
Yeah, Keaton's, a huge factor. He impacts the game in so many ways, and he commands double teams, and you can't guard him with one, and then of course he rebounds the ball so well, and he enables us to leak guys out because he's going to gobble up 90% of the rebounds, so we can kind of let guys go, and his ball handling is greatly improved, and last year he couldn't get a rebound and lead a break, and now he can get a rebound, lead the break with his athleticism, and just kind of outrun everybody down the floor. And but our whole team, I think we're playing a lot better together. Our passing, we're averaging right at 18 assists a game, which is really good for a high school team. Usually if you're averaging 18 assists a game for high school, you're pretty good.
Yeah. But y'all had such a dominant last 2 months. I was always the type of person. I always like to have a loss going into the season. Does it make you nervous knowing that y'all was going in on such a hot streak and sometimes it's good for them to get humbled before they go in.
Yeah, and it is tough, because we've had some games where we've won that we didn't play well, and it's hard to keep these guys playing at a high level when they're winning games and they're not playing really well and they're still winning. Sometimes they do get complacent.
You go back maybe some complacency in that regional championship against South Charleston that first quarter. I think they did some things, maybe struggled on defense a little bit. You made some adjustments specifically at halftime. What were those adjustments you went in to the locker room at halftime to make?
Well, I let them know that I wasn't real pleased for one, and didn't like our effort, and we shouldn't have to be coaching effort, And in the first quarter, we didn't have a lot of effort. After that, I thought our effort was pretty good, but the first quarter we were kind of sleepwalking, and honestly, the day before in practice we weren't very good either, and it kind of bled over, I think, into that first quarter.
When you look back on this season, regardless of what happens in Charleston, there was a turning point, I think it was about 6 weeks ago, that this team really started to play to their potential. Did you know that was coming? Because we had conversations kind of in the cafeteria, in the hallway, about you had felt they're coming. Did you start to see it?
Yeah, I did, and I'll be honest with you, the first month and half of the season, I was kind of frustrated. We were winning games, but we weren't really sharp. And, we kind of hit that stretch, and we had about 3 or 4, maybe 5 really good practices. We had a week there where we didn't have any games, and our practices were just really intense, and we just kind of hit another level. And I knew that would carry over into the games once that we got to that level, and it did. And since then we've had a few bad days in practice and a few games where we played a quarter bad, but for the most part we've been pretty spot on.
Everybody has a tradition when they go to Charleston. I think, of course, you were there when the fifth quarter was there. That was my family's tradition. We always had dinner at the fifth quarter, and it's now a parking lot, but that's neither here nor there. Do you have a Brad Napper specific tradition when you go over to Charleston?
Cutting down nets.
That's the one we like. Not really. We do kind of have, like, restaurants we hit every time. We try to hit, We missed Olive Garden last year and the year before, and the last time we went to Olive Garden on the way over was 2023 when we won it.
Well, somebody needs to book a table now.
We're definitely going to Olive Garden tomorrow, so
okay.
that will be the first stop for sure.
The Robert C. Bird, what can you tell the fans about them, people that's not seen them? What can they do good? What have you seen on film that may or may not give y'all some issues, and where are y'all's advantages?
They're really athletic. They're definitely not a typical 8 seed. Their talent level is as high as anybody's in AAA. They shoot it well. They handle it well. They're deep. Just a very talented team for an 8 seed. And I expect it to be a battle.
Yeah. You know, when I sit here and look at this team, you know, what shocks me more than anything is that, you know, you've kind of done this without a true shooter. You know, you don't have a Joey Golly this year or a Drew Williamson. You know, so, you know, everybody's had to play and, you know, find ways to score in different ways. You know, is this a little, I mean, I know last year you went down with kind of the same team. You know, over the past year, have you found different ways to score other than just the outside shot?
Yeah, I mean, you know, this team is really good in transition. You know, we're playing our best when we can get in transition, and you know, and I think that hurt us a little bit early in the season. Was we didn't have Keaton to get those rebounds, and we weren't able to get in transition as much because we were having to concentrate on, you know, keeping guys in to rebound. And you know, but when this group, and that's what, you know, I was a little bit upset in the South Charleston game, was because, you know, when we go inside early and get some easy baskets and kind of get in the flow, we normally shoot it well. Yeah. But if we come out and shoot 3 or 4 quick threes to start the game, we normally don't shoot it well. So this team's all about rhythm, I think, and energy. And if we can keep the energy up, and everything else will fall in place. Yeah,
it seems like to me, you know, looking at this team, Jay Brock's kind of the X factor. You know, if he's hitting shots, you know, you always got a chance to run teams out of the gym. You know, if not, it makes it a little bit harder on you.
Yeah, absolutely. When we hit some outside shots, it definitely frees up our inside game. And, you know, we are big and physical inside, and we can score around the basket really well. You know, and Jay's, at the midway point of the season, Jay was shooting 16% from threes.
Wow.
He's now shooting over 48%. So the last 11 or 12 games, he's shooting close to 60% from threes. So he's really been filling it up, and it's been over a long stretch. It's not just been 1 or 2 games.
That's quite impressive to see that kind of incline during the season.
Absolutely.
You know, but, you know, one thing, you know, we talked about Keaton, talked about Jay, you know, obviously Dakota Dalton, you know, his intangibles, he's a little different than most kids. You know, when he's out there, you know, I mean, for a young kid, you know, it seems like he steps into a leadership role quite well for a youngster. You know, what's different about that kid?
I really think he's doing a much better job this year seeing the court, and he sees the floor probably better than anybody on our team, and he's made some unbelievable passes this year, especially when we get in transition. He's the guy assisting on a lot of those. You know, he's averaging a little over 6 assists a game, which is pretty good for a high school, you know, at the high school level. But you know, his court vision's gotten much better. His understanding of where to throw it, when to throw it. You know, and he's always going to make some shots for you. But the passing has really been the thing he's improved the most on.
You're welcome. I'm just.
Yeah, Barker's gonna take credit for that.
I'll take credit for the passing part.
Well, Coach, we know you got a lot of people here. We know you got a busy schedule, so we do appreciate you bringing the kids out to Minas for the state tournament tip-off show once again. And you know, down in Charleston, like I said, you know, it seems like it was yesterday when I would see your son Brennan, you know, standing at midcourt imitating what your players was doing, Obina and them, and he'd stare down the opposing team as they shot their layup line, you know, try to intimidate them, and you know, so you know, it's good to see that tradition continue, you know, with this group here, and you know, you got a chance. You got such a young group. This could be the first of many. You know, so you know, best of luck, Coach, and again, down in Charleston, hopefully we can catch up in between games and get you down in the lobby, maybe do an interview here and there, you know, after the Robert C. Berg game, depending on how that goes, and you know, hopefully you can bring another one back to the Ville. You know, I know everybody here in town, you know, one thing that they don't lack faith in is a Brad Napper. So,
that's right.
Yeah. I don't know about that, but we're going to do our best for sure.
All right, guys, we'll return here in just a minute, live from Minas with some of the Chapmanville players. You're watching the D&D Sports Network.
Smokey Armstrong with United Motorsports in Danville. Stop in today and check out the great deals on Can-Am, side-by-sides, and ATVs. And let the good times roll on a new Kawasaki, plus promo financing available now. And savings up to $7,500 on selected units. Right now, get limited time offers on new Yamaha motorcycles. We've got new, pre-owned. We have parts, service, and financing to get you approved. United Motorsports in Danville, West Virginia.
Here at Logan Bank and Trust, we are committed to serving the needs of the Southern coalfields.
For any of your financial needs, We encourage you to stop by one of our 5 convenient locations or apply online today at lbnt.com.
Whether you choose to stop by or visit us online, our team is here to help you every step of the way.
Buying a new home, expanding your business? Choose Logan Bank and Trust. Let's bank together.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
And we are back here at Minas Mexican Restaurant here in Chapmanville, West Virginia. You're watching the state tournament tip-off show. James Barker to my left. I'm Darryl McCoy. Coach, I know you know these two youngsters quite well.
This guy used to hit me with a hand shield. I had the hand shield. He just tried to absolutely kill me every Tuesday in practice. I'm sure he misses that. I do not. I do not.
We got Benji Atkins and Kason Harless here. Kason was telling me, he said, I'm not used to being in this situation, so I'm sure he's a little nervous right now.
I would say so.
Yeah,
but he does like to talk. I've seen him in the hallway at school. He likes to talk a little bit.
Yeah, Benji, we'll start with you. Obviously, this is nothing new to you. You've been here, you've done that. Is this 4 trips to Charleston for you?
Yes, sir.
All 4 years. So, coming into this one, you're playing more of a leadership role this year. Just talk about your role and how it's different on this team compared to past years.
Past years, I've had these older guys to look up to keep me calm in situations like we're going to have in the state tournament. So I just feel like coming to us being a senior, I'm going to have to do it to the younger guys like Coda and Keaton, Jay, stuff like that.
Obviously, you coming in, getting Keaton healthy was a big plus to you guys. You play a large role on this team. Literally and figuratively. You're kind of a point forward type. Just talk about Brad Napper and the role that he's had you play over your years. It's not a traditional forward.
Yeah. Well, the first few years, I was a freshman and sophomore. I was playing more big. Yeah. I didn't develop my handles yet. But the older I got, the more that I understand I can calm down. I don't have to be quick with the ball. I can use my size as my advantage to get the ball down the court. So he's really helped me see that.
Benji, one thing that I always brag about you on, not only on the basketball court, but the football field as well as your feet. You've always played at a point guard position, even though you've been big. Yeah. Why are your feet so good? How did that happen?
It's honestly all my brother. I mean, ever since I was young, always feet work. That's all I've ever worked on. Football and basketball.
Last year, obviously things didn't end up the way you wanted it to in Charleston. But, I thought the one advantage that y'all had during that final game last year, I thought you was scoring at will. Just talk, being able to see that you had that game come easy to you last year, does that give you confidence heading into this year, or are you like, well, they're going to watch that film and throw something different at me?
Yeah, well, I try to think about size differences. If I know I'm bigger than this dude, I'm obviously going to go to the post, and that's what I was doing a lot last year, was attacking the basket, getting down, getting rebounds, finishing at the rim.
With that loss last year, how does that help fuel your fire going into this year?
I mean, I'm down for another ring. I'll do anything.
There you go.
Yeah.
Mr. Harless, how are you?
Good, I'm doing pretty good.
Now, when you get to practice against these guys, what do you take away for maybe next year fulfilling a different role and playing a little bit more?
Just getting stronger, faster, hopefully get a little bit more height on me. A couple inches a week, right?
What do they teach you? What do they talk to you about, like trying to get better? Do they help you in practice to try to?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
I gotta be stronger. They teach me I gotta be stronger, faster, and there's grown men playing out there in one place.
Well, I know Benji has that grown man strength. He shows that every day in football practice. Benji, I know you love basketball. You're going to West Virginia State to play football, though.
Yes, sir.
How's that process been?
Honestly, it's been difficult. I mean, there's been so much paperwork, and I mean, it's been tough, but I think I'm going to enjoy it.
Filed that faster, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Casey, I guess my last question for you is, coming in, middle school, you pretty much done what you wanted when you wanted, but you was always a smaller guard. I was always surprised about how easy the game come to you with your size. At the high school level, what's been the biggest challenge to you your first year?
Really, just not being able to get to the rim as much because guys are so much bigger than me now, like bigger and stronger. I don't got a lot of weight on me either, so they can just kind of body me up in the paint. So I got to shoot a lot of threes in the game. So it's a lot different than middle school.
Being from Harts Creek, that gets you a little tougher, don't it?
Yeah. 100%.
Benji, when you look down your roster, being the leader, who's the one kid on this team that you're going to look at in the locker room and say, you got to have a big game for us to win this?
100% Keaton. I mean, if he plays good, we're all going to play good.
There you go, Coach. You got any final questions for him?
No, I mean, I just want one time, since you got to hit on me a little bit in practice, if there's just one time I can go one-on-one with you in basketball. I want to be able to hit a step back over you just one time.
That's not going to happen, but you can try.
I don't know if you want that smoke, Coach.
No, I don't know. I do.
Well, Benji, the one thing I can tell it's your senior year, and there's really one thing you got left to do in high school, and that's win this title. So I'd say that puts even more weight on you than normal, knowing like, okay, football's over now, basketball's coming to an end. I've got to get this state title to cap off my career, So, I can tell right now, you're ready for it.
I'm so excited.
I don't feel any nerves. It feels like you're ready to go out there and, lead this team. So, y'all go out and do what you've always done and bring back some hardware to the Ville.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, we're going to step aside. When we come back, we'll have a couple more players with us here on the Chapmanville State Tournament Tip-Off Show. Come by and see us at Minas Mexican Grill in Chapmanville, West Virginia. Get some yum-yum in your tum-tum. We got the best Mexican cuisine in Logan County. You get great service with great food. Minas Mexican Grill is a proud supporter of the Chapmanville Tigers and all mountain athletes. Folks, if you're in the market for a storage building, garage, barn, or custom structure, there's only one name you need to know. Mountaineer Buildings, conveniently located right outside Chapmanville, West Virginia, with multiple locations across Kentucky, West Virginia, and Ohio. They are the largest building company in the coalfields for a reason. They've got a huge inventory on lot, unbeatable deals, and waiting for you. Come see us at Mountaineer Buildings. All right, guys, we are back here at Minas Mexican Grill in Chapmanville, West Virginia. And listen, you're in Chapmanville when you see this kind of support, James Barker. I'm Darryl McCoy, James Barker. We got Dakota Dalton and Eli Smith with us. Barker, I'll let you kick this one off.
Well, we'll start with Eli. Everybody think, I know Dakota pretty well, but Eli, first year back in Chapmanville for a while. A little bit of a different role than you had last year when you were in Lincoln County, but I think you've thrived in this role. Talk a little bit about coming back and what you've been able to do this season.
I kind of feel like I'm starting to get back, what I was as a freshman, being in the big, fighting for boards, just getting in the paint and doing that dirty work. I feel like that plays a big role, especially with this team and us being big. Yeah, I'm just going to do that dirty work.
Not only can you do that, though, but you have the ability to score as well. And I think sometimes that gets lost. And, when you look at down the roster, there's a lot of scorers on this team. But there's a lot of times that you've been able to kind of give spurts off the bench, or even when you're in the starting lineup, give spurts and go on runs, 6-0 runs, 8-0 runs just by yourself. Talk about your offensive philosophy, because it seems like you like to attack the rim.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of that has to be, from coming from Lincoln County. That was my role, just getting to the rim, scoring, shooting, just 'Cause I was taking about 20 shots every game at Lincoln County because that's what I kind of had to do. And I feel like that played over, to this season. Just going on spurts, just a lot from my role at Lincoln County really helped me this year. So I think that's really how I've developed that. But
Eli, and I'll continue my question with you. You leaving Chapmanville and going to Lincoln County. Obviously you went there. You averaged over 20 a game there. Do you think that experience of going and being the man helped you? And you coming back and trying to help lead a younger group.
Yeah, I think it helped a lot. Because it taught me stuff that I'd like to teach the younger guys. What I didn't know as a freshman is I didn't know how to really ball handle, get to the rim because I was playing just one position, staying in that paint. But then I started training with my brother over the summer, and then I just learned how to if I'm going to be the man on the team, especially, I'm going to have to get to the rim, dribble, shoot. So I think a lot of that just taught me to teach the younger guys that I need to do that now and teach them what it takes to score. So I feel like that was a big role.
Speaking of your brother, he's been there, done that. Played a key part on some state titles that come back during his era. Has he told you anything, any advice or anything to help you along the way?
Yeah, for sure. He basically told me to just have that dog in me, really, because that's really what his mentality was everybody knows my brother for being that defensive dog. Like, he'd always want to guard the best player. He'd always want to shut down the best player. And I feel like, him teaching me how to use my motor and play up really helped a lot for sure.
He wasn't too shabby of a shooter either.
He shot good, but he's a pretty good shooter.
Dakota, I'll move over to you. Obviously, I always tell people with you, it's the intangibles that you can't coach. That's what separates you and other kids in your class is, that leadership. You do the little things. The set solid screens. The carrying out ball fakes. You're a very high IQ sophomore. Just talk about does your role on the football field being QB1, does that help you over on the hardwood?
Yeah, being able to talk to everybody and making sure they're all in the right spots definitely shifts over to basketball like it does football. But every team needs that guy that on defense, they say Keaton's out of position, we all moving back to position, I'm moving back position. Eli does it. We all do it, really, and we all do the same thing as a group, really.
Yeah, this is your second trip to Charleston now, Dakota, and last year as a freshman, and you've been there all your life, but to step on that floor the first time was a little bit of a different feeling. And now that not only you're going back to Charleston for the second time, but you've played in a lot of big high school football games too, does it feel like the pressure is less this year because of all those moments you've been in here now, your sophomore year and in your freshman year as well?
Yeah, especially a football season, like all the crowds, especially at Bridgeport, that was probably one of the games that I was just sitting there if I make one bad mistake, it could go a way different, totally different way. But now I'm just used to that, so I just don't worry and just go do my thing.
When you're out on the floor and you guys, there's so many different guys that can run the point. Benji can run the point, you can run the point, Logan can run the point. What is it that makes your offense go? Because there's a lot of times that you're out there directing traffic and, like you said, making sure everybody's in the right spot.
It really depends on Coach Napper on what he wants us to do. But the thing with us, people, it's hard to guard us because we're so big. So we're all over the place. We make things easier on each other, screens, just backdoor cuts, making sure everybody knows what they're doing, really.
Dakota, growing up, as Coach Barker said, you grew up going to Charleston every year, and you got to see Coach Brad Napper over there on the sideline. Does it give you a little extra confidence knowing that you got a legend roaming the sidelines, that no matter what situation you get in, he's going to have an answer to get you out of it?
Yeah, knowing, especially watching, Eli's been there too. Watching Isaiah and Sal and you got Drew, Kyle, Abina, and all them, seeing how them guys played, watching him coach, it really takes a lot of pressure off us knowing that he's got our back no matter what. He's going to get us out of any situation we need help with. It really helps knowing that he's got our back. If we need it, he's right there.
Yeah. Here in Chapmanville, it's a special situation. I mean, as you look around, you see all the kiddos in here. You once was them kiddos. Does it make you want to go out and get that even more, knowing that, hey, I know what it means to look up to them players. I've been standing there in them kids' shoes before. Does it make you want to go get the win for them youngsters?
Yeah, for sure. Especially, me and Eli was little. We looked up to Isaiah, Sal, Z, Drew, and Kyle, and Obina, and all of them. Just knowing we watched them do that, and now they want to watch us do that. So that I think that means to me and Eli, we just gotta go do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they want to see. It's what everybody wants to see.
What a huge showing here, at Minas. A huge crowd out here watching you guys. This is for a tip-off show. I could imagine what it's going to be in Charleston. But can you tell the fans real quick what it would mean to you guys for them to show up and show out on Wednesday?
It means a lot, especially, everybody being loud, that brings a lot of energy.
Yeah.
It really does. And you can ask Eli, the Capital game, the Bridgeport game. We played our best basketball when that place was we had a packed house and it was loud.
Yeah, Eli, I got a couple more questions, and then I'll let Barker finish off. But, playing the schedule, the gauntlet that y'all did this year, Robert Seaberg coming in as 8 seed, y'all as the unanimous 1 seed. Do you think that it's going to be that schedule that Coach Napper had planned out for y'all, do you think that will help play a role that, y'all seen everything the state can throw at you, basically, so does it make you more confident going in knowing?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It definitely prepares us, because, you can never underestimate a team, especially during tournament time. And them being an 8 seed, they're still going to be an athletic team, watching our film. They're definitely a good team, and I feel like, having such a tough schedule really prepares us before we go in. So I think that was a really good thing, is just, preparing and getting ready. So I think we'll be good.
Dakota, what's been the toughest competition you've seen this season? Who gave y'all the most problems?
The team out of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Erie.
What did they do that gave you? Is that one of the Florida games down there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did they do that? Were they bigger than you guys? Was that one of the?
It wasn't that. It was they was so disciplined. When at that time of the season we really wasn't disciplined. I think now we could probably give them a run for their money. Another one was Ashland. I mean, we got beat by 30. Everybody knows that. I think that was a wake-up call for us. Ever since then, we've been clicking. But I think now both of those teams, we play with those teams.
Yeah.
It's a 4 to 5 point game the whole game, and it just depends on what night it is.
Yeah, well, I can tell you one thing. Y'all's going to have to keep your head straight, because right now, all the eyes are looking at y'all on the state. I think, a lot of people have y'all, top 3 regardless of class in the state. So y'all got a lot to prove, and, the weight's on your shoulders, but y'all got the roster to go in and do it, though. Barker, you got anything for him?
No, I think it's, when you go in the gym and you see the banners lined up there, and there's this little kid that always sticks out to me, in these little 20, 19 and 20-year state championship banners, and he's on there. And then you got Eli, and you all can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he has a chance, him and his brother, for the first time to be brothers state champions in Chapmanville. So that would be a really cool thing to see as well. So there's a lot of little cool full circle moments for this team this year, if they can win the title.
Now, was you here your freshman year? Did y'all win state your freshman year? All right, so they'll have a chance to be the first multiple.
Yes.
To win them. Well, I tell you, when y'all go down, everybody here, it's obviously y'all got the support of the city behind you. Go down there, enjoy this. Especially you being a senior, it's your last go around. Soak it in, and best thing that I can tell you is, don't have any regrets. Leave it all on the floor.
For sure.
All right, guys, we'll take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to have a couple more Tigers here at Minas Mexican Grill in Chapmanville, West Virginia.
At Logan Regional Medical Center, our comprehensive inpatient rehabilitation program helps get you back to living life. With an 8-bed unit for patients 18 and over, our caring team of doctors, nurses, and rehabilitation specialists work with you, providing a full line of services to help you restore your capabilities and get you back home and back to living. Logan Regional Medical Center, providing inpatient rehabilitation close to home.
If you got a big job to get done, don't just trust any flagging service. Call Diamond Flagging Service. Diamond Flagging Service keeps your community safe while also making sure it stays moving. Give Diamond Flagging Service a call today for their services. They also offer amazing job opportunities. Diamond Flagging Services, proud supporter of the Mountain Athletes. And we're back here in Chapmanville, West Virginia at Minas Mexican Grill with the Chapmanville Tigers. The Chapmanville Tiger State Tournament Tip-Off Show. Again, want to thank Minas Mexican Grill here for taking and feeding the team today as they head off, making sure that they get their bellies full. Coach James Barker, Darryl McCoy here. Barker, I'll let you start off.
Yeah, we really appreciate Minas. It's great food, great atmosphere here always. Kai Martin, you know, welcome to Chapmanville. I know you've been here for a minute now, but you know, how's it feel to be in the state tournament and moving on to Charleston?
You know, it feels really good. You know, I'm excited to play. You know, it feels pretty good.
Yeah, you know, obviously Logan Hovac and Kai Martin. Kai, you coming in, you know, you're a newcomer to the team. You transferred. You was a couple games into the season before you got eligible, right?
Yeah.
You coming in from George Washington, you know, coming over from a program like that to a program like this, you know, what's the biggest difference that you've seen between the GW program and this one?
I mean, to be honest, they're pretty similar. There's not really a lot of differences. It's similar in the ways like you just run like a lot of sets and stuff, or just organized basketball. It's not really much difference, and that's why it's just easy for me to adjust and play in both.
Yeah, great.
You know, Kai, you come over from George Washington. They're in the state tournament as well. They're one of the favorites in Class Quad A. When you came to Chapmanville, you had to sit out. What did you do to kind of bond with these guys? Because it was a different, you know, coming in mid-season. You didn't get the summer. You didn't get any time off. You had to come in and kind of fit in right away. How did you manage to do that? Because you seem like you get along with these guys really well.
You know, I've been knowing guys like Jay, Logan, Keaton for a while now. So just, you know, I seen them getting along with everybody well. So I just knew I'd fit in pretty well. And I just talked to everybody my first day, and I just knew this was going to be a good year.
Logan, is he telling the truth? You guys get along pretty well? Okay.
I'm going to have to get to Logan here because Coach Barker, it's almost like he's a child with Christmas. He's got a new toy in Kai Martin, and he'll talk all day with him. So but Logan, you know, coming in this year, you know, you've had to step your role up, play a more important role this year. You know, you're one of the many point guards Coach Napper throws out there. You know, sometimes it's you're distributing, sometimes, you know, it's you attacking, getting guys open, and then most of the time it's your defense that sets the tone for this team. You know, just talk about, you know, how, you know, what do you see your role on this team, and, you know, how do you attack every game?
I feel like my role is setting the energy and the pace, like you said, starting on defense, and then on the offensive side, bringing it up and getting us through sets.
Yeah. You know, I got to see you this summer, you know, playing for your AAU team, and, you know, that was one thing that I noticed. You know, you always found a way to impact the game, you know, whether the matchup favored you or not, because of the effort that you gave on the defensive end. You know, is that something, you know, and one thing I noticed too is, you know, your shots got a lot better, you know, over the year. You know, is that the confidence feeding over from the defensive side that's all of a sudden, hey, some of them shots are going down now because you can say, well, I'm making a huge impact in other ways, and so not every shot you're looking so much into missing or making.
Yeah, I just always try to do what I can to help the team win, and hitting open shots is one of those because it frees everybody else up.
Yeah, coming over here to Chapmanville, obviously, you come over from the Kentucky side, spent a short stem over at Russell. Coming over here, what was different about Coach Napper and his program, the way that he runs, the tight ship he runs here?
That's a hard question, but what I can say is the community over here is different. It's a different atmosphere. Everybody's very accepting, and it feels like family.
That's what makes it so special, ain't it? When you look out here and you see a full house for a state tournament tip-off show, not many teams can do that, right?
Yeah. It feels special.
Yeah.
Logan, what's been the evolution of your game from your freshman year to now? Because we've seen you grow leaps and bounds from the beginning of your freshman year to now getting ready to play in a state basketball tournament. What have you kind of seen that your growth has been?
Well, it's been the same role, but I've just had to up in some aspects, like hitting more open shots and bringing the ball up the floor more and guarding better players.
You talked about your energy on defense. That's one of the things that I've noticed this year is your defense has been a lot better. You've gone out and you've matched intent. As soon as that ball gets across half court, you're in that guy's face the entire time, and you bring a lot of energy when you're in the game and doing those type of things. What gives you that mentality to just go be aggressive and attack?
Getting on the court.
Just excited to play.
Yeah. That's what you got to do.
That's what I love, Barker, about kids like Logan. There's a kid over in Kentucky that once upon a time we named our defensive award after the Lathan Hall Award. And as a freshman, he knew he had to be a great defender, to see the floor. And, that's Logan, the impact. I mean, Logan sees all this talent around him, and he's like, hey, I got to go out and do something that not everybody's willing to do. And, you go out every night and play a role that, not a lot of people is willing to give that kind of effort night in, night out like you do, So, it's really neat to see, how you impact the game just as much as the stars, but from a different role. And, I've always respected kids that can do that because, not a lot of kids can accept that role, Barker.
No, and that makes a special player is when they can accept the role and do what they've been asked to do and not try to do more. And I think Logan does an excellent job at that. And I think guys come into that role too. We're not asking you to be those leading scorer, the leading rebounder. We're asking you to fill a role. And when you look at all these guys here in this room, Darryl, I think this is what Brad Napper does best is he knows what roles he needs and he allows his players to fit those roles. And one thing I want to ask Kai is this. When I watch you on the floor, the more you talk, the better you play. Do you feel that? Yeah, because I noticed that the more you're, I guess, emotionally invested in the game, the better you play. Some guys are different. But what makes you kind of tick? Like, what makes you get going?
There's a lot of things going on, I feel like the main games I've played the best, like, with emotion is, like, the Bridgeport game and the Capital game. I'd say just, like, a lot on the line with the rankings and stuff, just a lot going on.
So when it means more, you show up?
I feel like I do, yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, Kai, you showing up to Charleston with different colors on this time. Does it make you excited to go out and knowing you're wearing the orange and black and represent in your own city? Going out and saying, okay, listen, I'm bringing a new squad to town and we're going to cut down the nets. Does it make you that much more exciting for this trip around, knowing that you're coming in, everybody knows your name around the Charleston area, but you still, you're going to have to prove it with a different team. Are you excited for this time?
I'm very excited. We work really hard for it. I think we deserve it. It's really exciting when we get to play and compete.
Obviously, at GW, you played with a great big and Noah Lewis. Having Keaton Terry, did you ever realize how good Keaton Terry was on the block until you got here?
Yeah, I've played with him since I was little, so I've always known he's been pretty good. Yeah.
Now this trip around, here's what I ask: what does Coach Napper ask of you?
Just to bring motor and bring energy. I just come in, got to roll, just hit open shots, play defense, and get rebounds. So as long as I do my role and play with energy, have a high motor, I think that's what he expects out of me.
Logan, having Dakota, having Keaton, Benji, having this loaded roster, Kai, Eli, when you take, does your role on this team, do you understand first how important it is, and at the end of the day, are you excited to go to Charleston, play on that big floor, your first time, in a significant starting role?
Shoot.
Are you excited to take the floor in Charleston this time around?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I am.
It's going to be a little different knowing that, this time a lot of the weight's on your shoulders, right?
Yeah, I got a much bigger role this year than I did last year.
Now, one thing that I'll ask you, coming over, same thing I asked Kai, playing with somebody like Keaton, how fun is it playing with somebody like that can make your job a lot easier?
It's fun and it's relieving.
Yeah.
Right? It makes my job way easier.
Yeah. The Coach Brad Napper, what does he mean to you in your game?
What's he mean to me? I don't know how to answer that, sir.
Yeah,
Sorry.
You're fine. Here's what I'll say. Going into Charleston this time, you can see what titles mean to this community with the outpouring of love that you've seen here today. Going up there, y'all's gonna go up tomorrow night, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What are you most excited? What are you looking forward to about this time around going to Charleston?
Just carrying on the tradition of being in a winning program.
Yeah.
If we don't go up there, it's a big upset. So we gotta go up there and win.
Yeah. So Barker, I'll let you close out.
Well, I think it's important for these guys to understand that everybody's behind them. There's no need to be nervous, but when you guys check in for the first time, they announce your name for the first time over the Civic Center, there's nothing like it in the world. And I know you've been there before, but when you check in and play on that floor for the first time, there's nothing like it. And everybody in Chapmanville's behind you. So you got nothing to be nervous about. I know the interview probably is more nerve-wracking for you, Logan, than playing in a game, isn't it? But final thought, Kai, Logan, either one of you can answer this. What's it been like this season? You're 20-3, going into the state tournament as the 1 seed. What is your expectation in Charleston?
My expectation, I think it's all of our expectations, is to come home with the ring. We just work really hard, and we've all decided that's our expectation. We want to come out with a ring.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to step away. When we come back, we'll have a couple more Tigers with us. You're live here at Minas Mexican Grill. Stop by Eric Home and Drug today and let them fill your prescription. Eric Home and Drug has been serving the Chapmanville community for over 46 years. They're a proud supporter of the Chapmanville Tigers and all mountain athletes.
Getting ready for sports means protecting those eyes. Up to 90% of sport-related eye injuries can be prevented with proper eye protection. White Eye Care knows this and is committed to providing the best protective sportswear for your child's eyes. As a proud sponsor of our community sports programs, we want to see our kids protected, from the little ones up to the big leagues. Our huge selection of eyewear makes finding that perfect pair easy. So win big this season. Call White Eye Care in Logan for an appointment today.
Call 304-752-3474 and see Missy Birchfield at your good friends at State Farm in Logan, West Virginia. She gives out free insurance quotes, so make sure you see her at State Farm.
All right, back here at Minas Mexican Grill, James Barker, Darryl McCoy, now joined by David Browning and Brock Carter. And guys, welcome.
Thank
I know you, David. You did this during football season, and Brock, this second time you've done this, I think.
I've done it a few times.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know you've got that Charger stuff on. We'll leave that alone for the time being. But David, when you talk about this season, 20-3, and you've played in spots for the varsity as well this year, especially when Keaton and Benji are in foul trouble and any other big, you're kind of that guy off the bench. Talk about kind of what your role is and how you've adjusted.
Yeah, when I come in, I'm there to do my job, get rebounds, play some defense. I'm there to screen and get people open, help get the scorers the ball. Help move the ball around when I can and play better defense.
When you get out on the floor and you know that your role is to shut down a big that obviously has given Benji or Keaton some trouble. Have you been kind of, because I know how you are, you're very cerebral and you do a lot of things and you think of things. Have you already scouted them? Do you already know how you're going to play them when you get out on the floor?
Yeah, I know they're going to be real athletic. I'm going to need to, step up. I'm going to need to be, when I get in the game, I'm going to have to guard. They're going to be quick. I need to stay in front. But yeah, I usually know my job when I come in the game.
Yeah, Brock, real quick for the fans that may not know, how many times is this you going to Charleston?
Just my second time.
This is your second year.
Yeah.
Coming in, obviously, your role is a little different. A little bit different on, when you take and look. What do you see your role in, and you going night in, night out at practice? Do you understand that? Your role is as big as anybody's, knowing that you got to get these guys ready.
Yeah. Every day I got to come ready to practice and contribute to helping these guys out. Learn all their plays, got to run them against them, and I got to come in with 100% effort all the time.
Barker obviously knows these kids more than I do.
Yeah,
so,
I know there are all kinds of jokes going on behind the camera sometimes. You're picking things up, but Brock, you come in and I guess what I like when I watch you play is, you're long and lanky, but you have a great outside shot, but you don't have any fear going in and banging bodies on the inside as well. You play with a different mentality sometimes that you don't really see from a guard position. Talk about, what your mentality is out on the floor.
Yeah, I always grew up not really being able to shoot, so I've always been focused on driving. Up until now, I've kind of practiced and really gained a jump shot. And now I'm really working on just mainly getting into the inside. When I feel like I can get in the inside, if I don't make the first one, I can maybe get a rebound and put it in for the second time.
When you play with these guys, and this is a young group, but you played last year with an older group, and you've been around the program for an extended period of time. What kind of lessons do you learn? What have you taken away from some of these older guys? What have they taught you about not only the game of basketball, but how to compete?
I've learned a lot from these older guys to mainly cherish every moment, that you only get a limited amount of games or times to practice, and you never know when you might get injured. It could be your senior year and you might blow a knee out and you won't get a senior year. So to cherish every memory of it and go hard every single time you get to.
David, you're a three-sport athlete here at Chapmanville. You played football on the semifinal team. You here going to Charleston on the basketball team, and you'll start baseball as soon as basketball season is over. Not only that, your math field day, just about everything that you can do, you do. How do you find the time?
It takes some work. You gotta go to 2 practices a day sometimes, but a lot of it just comes from you gotta want to do it. You gotta know it'll make you better, and have fun doing it. Playing baseball, basketball, football. I've done it since I was real little, so it's fun. Enjoy it.
When you're doing all those things, I know you've got a great work ethic. I'm gonna put you on the spot. If you had to rank the 3 in order, with football being first, where do the other 2 kind of go?
I play with football first. I don't know.
Is it tough? I'm sure it goes seasonal sometimes too. Sometimes you really enjoy playing basketball. And I'm not going to put you on the spot. I was just trying to give you a hard time.
Yeah.
David, I'll ask you that. The run that y'all made this year in football, I think one of the all-time greatest runs of any team in the state of West Virginia. That row there, knowing that you played such a significant role on that, coming in to basketball, your role is just as big, but in a different way. Does that give you a lot more confidence to come in and play your role to a T on the hardwood, knowing that you already faced all the pressure on the football field?
Yeah, it's nice knowing that I can be the guy that helps out in different ways. I can come to practice every day and prepare the rest of the team. I can get energy. I can be the energy.
Somebody's got to bang against them in practice, right? I've always been enamored, and then it really surprised your football game how much it's got better over the last year and a half. I could tell you're in the best shape of your life. Your footwork on the hardwood is a lot better. Do you think them two sports help each other?
I do.
Quite well?
I think basketball's definitely helped with my footwork and football, and I think football's helped with my aggression, being able to get to the basket, go up for rebounds, stuff like that.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of David's on and off the gridiron. And Brock, I'll ask you this, and this trip around, what are you most excited about going to Charleston there against Robert C. Byrd, and this trip down? What are you looking forward to?
Definitely making memories with all my friends. I love getting time, even on the side of the court, helping out these older players, and mainly just making memories with all my friends, I'd say.
Yeah. You got anything else?
Always gonna get him a Buffalo Bills hoodie. That's about it.
Who dey? Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have a couple more Tigers for you here on the state tournament tip-off show.
Unfortunately, water, mold, or fire damage can happen to you. Restoration One of Southern West Virginia is available 24/7 to help take the stress out of your mess. Our primary goal is to respond and restore your property back to normal as quickly and safely as possible. When disaster strikes, Restoration One is your go-to cleanup crew. Save our number now in case you need us later. Whether the job is big or small, give Restoration One a call. 304-443-4959.
Looking for a new healthcare provider? Come see us at Tug Valley Wellness Clinic. We take all patients from the ages 2 and up. Our staff has over 30 years of medical experience. We do everything from DOT physicals, wellness exams, adult and child, walk-in visits, and more. Call us today at 304-236-3601 or reach us Monday through Friday.
It's going down. Meet me in the. Meet me in the. Meet me in the. It's going down.
Guys, it's going down at 23 Camper Sales. Don't delay your dreams any longer. Come to 23 Camper Sales, where your dream camper is waiting.
Here at Logan Bank and Trust, we are committed to serving the needs of the Southern coalfields.
For any of your financial needs, we encourage you to stop by one of our 5 convenient locations or apply online today at lbnt.com.
Whether you choose to stop by or visit us online, our team is here to help you every step of the way.
Buying a new home, expanding your business? Choose Logan Bank and Trust. Let's bank together.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Come by and see us at Minas Mexican Grill in Chapmanville, West Virginia. Get some yum yum in your tum-tum. We got the best Mexican cuisine in Logan County. You get great service with great food. Minas Mexican Grill is a proud supporter of the Chapmanville Tigers and all mountain athletes.
At Logan Regional Medical Center, our comprehensive inpatient rehabilitation program helps get you back to living life. With an 8-bed unit for patients 18 and over, our caring team of doctors, nurses, and rehabilitation specialists work with you. providing a full line of services to help you restore your capabilities and get you back home and back to living. Logan Regional Medical Center, providing inpatient rehabilitation close to home.
Back here at Minas Mexican Grill, you got the state tournament tip-off show here in Chapmanville, West Virginia. Jackson Neal and Keaton Terry on tap. Coach James Barker to my left. I'm Darryl McCoy. Coach Barker, go ahead and tip us off.
Keaton, great year so far. You've just been a monster on the inside. You go back to that Huntington game where they didn't double you. That was one of the first teams that didn't double you, and they just kind of let you just dominate on the inside. And since then, you've just averaged double-double the last 3 games. Talk about just the last 3 games that you've played.
I've been getting ready for the state tournament. That's my ring. My goal is to win a ring, and that's what I've been getting prepared for.
Jackson, you have to go up against this guy every day in practice. What's that like?
Yeah, sucks. And I'm not gonna lie, he has improved as a player so much from last year to this year. I mean, it's crazy. I'm not gonna lie. And every day I'm trying to make him better. I could go up against Benji too, so I'm trying to make him better. But really going up at Keaton every day at practice, it's rough.
We've talked to you about trying to play football. I know you play soccer, but we've talked to you about trying to play football. But you don't need the beat and bang anymore. You got to go against Benji and Keaton every day in practice. That's got to be just absolutely. You go home battered and bruised.
No, I mean just going up at Keaton and Benji. It also makes me better as a player because they got to guard me as well. So it's pretty rough on both ends. Really getting guarded and got to guard them.
Keaton, who's the most frustrating player in practice that you have to go against? Benji?
No doubt it's Benji, because Benji, he's smart. He knows how to use his body, and his footwork so good. And it's just him overall.
Yeah, this is your second trip to Charleston. Obviously, last year you have a little bit of a bad taste in your mouth. What are you looking forward to this year, though?
We got something to prove. Last year, we were just getting ready for this year, and it's going to be different, completely different.
Has it hit you yet that with this group that you got a chance to win 3 in a row?
No, not really. I'm excited, but no, it hasn't.
Yeah, that's something that not very many teams, I think only 5 in the history of West Virginia has ever done, to win 3 in a row. And, that starts off with this year if you're able to win it.
Yeah, that's our goal, most definitely. That'll be very nice if we pull it off, which I think we will.
Obviously, I tell people all the time, I think you're the best rebounder in the nation. You're a 20-20 guy, but coming in this year, obviously you was a little late getting started due to the injury. Where are you at right now? Are you 100% back from that injury? Is there still some lingering issues?
I wouldn't say I'm 100%, but I say I'm around 70%.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that because I'm gonna just keep progressing to get back to what I was.
Yeah. Coming in, obviously you was exactly what the doctor ordered when you come in. Just talk about this tear that y'all been on, over the last little bit. Particularly, going back to that Ashland game. It seemed like, I think that was your first game back, right?
I think it's either my first or second.
Yeah, did that game right there, it seems like y'all was a completely different team since that Ashland game.
Yeah, like Dakota said, it was like a wake-up call for us. I didn't expect Ashland to come out like that and play that hard, but they gave it to us, and, that was for sure a wake-up call.
Yeah, and one thing I've seen this year in your game, it's a lot more athletic. I'm starting to see you play above the rim. Is there stuff that you see during the season that you're continuing to work on and making sure you're the best version of yourself?
Yeah, no doubt. I've surprised myself throughout the season with little things, with plays and just everything all around.
Yeah. Keaton, when you pick up a cheap foul, and you know what I'm talking about. Do you get more mad at yourself, or are you more afraid of that guy right there that's staring you down on the question?
I really say it's the ref's fault. It is my fault most of the time, but some of the refs, they be calling just crazy fouls. But it's okay though. I'm still working on that.
Yeah. And when I I love watching Brad. When you pick up that foul, and when we say cheap foul, we're talking about like 80 feet away from the basket, that type of foul.
Yes.
Brad, Coach Napper just gets so upset. I watch your body language. You look over the bench, and that head just drops down. Like, you know it's coming.
Yeah, I do, no doubt. He's right. I don't need to be picking up fouls like that. He needs me in the game.
That's one part of your game, that you continue to get better on, is foul shooting. Just talk about that. Do you? I see you put a lot of effort to try to fix that. Are you realizing, like, hey, listen, we can get in a tough situation where they're just going to hack a shack me, and my team needs me on the floor, so I can't be a liability in that area.
Yeah, I got to be smarter on what I contest and what I try to block, most definitely.
Yeah. Now, taking a look at this year's roster, that trip last year and how it ended, has that soaked in? I mean, I know I seen you after the ball game. That loss hit you pretty hard. And it took you a couple days to get right. Does that still linger, and is that motivation for you this time around?
Yeah, it does, most definitely. Last year we should have won that, but it was still a great experience to see what that was like, getting us ready for this year. We're gonna win it for the guys last year and for the seniors this year.
Yeah. Here's my question. Do you realize, I know you went to the Jay Billis camp this summer, showed out, you've had a lot of opportunities to play on big stages. Has it hit you yet? I mean, you're a sophomore with a Division I offer. Has it hit you yet, that, I may be the best rebounder in the entire country?
No. I mean, I just try to get the ball. That's all. I don't have that mindset. I'm just trying to help my team win. Yeah. That's all. I ain't cocky with it.
What about the alley-oop off the glass against Lincoln County there the other night?
Like I said, I surprised myself. I didn't know I had that.
You didn't have that?
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't know I had that.
The Jackson, this year, your role has continued to expand. From JV, you're seeing, toward the end of the year, you was one of the bigger pieces, especially down in the post in JV. Just talk about your role and the growth of your role this year and how you've accepted that.
Yeah, my role is really just get the ball in paint, try to score off of it, and just like Stuart says, there is no good move unless you make the shot. So I'm always trying to make the layup, always trying to not miss and stuff, and always trying to rebound the ball as well. That's one thing I got to get better at, is definitely rebound the ball a lot better and start making a lot more of my layups.
And you're what? You're a junior or sophomore? Sophomore. So you're right here. I mean, I'll say the same thing that I asked Keaton. Has it hit you yet? You got a chance to win 3 in a row.
I mean, yeah, we definitely have a very good chance, and we will. I mean, I can just feel it in the team. We have such a great chance, and there really is no perfect way to end it without winning.
Keaton, what's the one thing when you look over on the sideline and you see Coach Napper, what's his go-to thing that you see and okay, Coach is mad?
When we're not hustling, when I foul, or when anybody else fouls, when we're not executing, when we're not hitting shots really that we need to be. That's the main thing. Those are the main things.
When you start seeing that vein inside of his neck bulge out, it's on, right?
My head goes down. I'm just knowing it's coming. But it's expected. We need it, and then we bounce back.
Yeah. Well, Keaton, you going down this time, Robert Seabird. It's a 1 versus 8. How are in the locker room? What are you telling your teammates to keep y'all focused?
I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm really just listening to Brad for real. Like Brad gets us ready to go back out there in the second half and dominate, and that's what we do.
He's a legend for a reason, right?
Yes, most definitely.
The Jackson, you grew up in this system. Seeing all these people show up here for the tip-off show, it's got to make you excited for this trip to Charleston, knowing that the entire community is waiting for y'all. I mean, even though they're used to this winning culture, it's been a year, or so since y'all brought one back. It's time, right?
Yeah, heck yeah, son. I mean, I'm so excited for it.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, I think Jackson's right. It's time, and you guys are going to show out. Jackson, I do have one question. When you're probably running the scout team a little bit this week in practice, how many Robert Seabird sets do you know as well as you would like not like to know? You know, how many times do you guys go over their sets and gone over that stuff in practice so far?
Well, really, we're probably going to do that tomorrow, really. But off the other team, like the past two teams, we ran over every set that they've ran so far. Like we ran on their inbound plays, and of course their offenses and type of defense they run. We're always ready to prepare them.
Yeah, my last thing, do you got to go to a candle shop or tart shop that you shop at?
I can't really think of one off the top of smell my tarts, obviously.
There you go. Get that plug in here. Guys, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have a couple more Chapmanville Tigers on tap.
At Logan Regional Medical Center, our comprehensive inpatient rehabilitation program helps get you back to living life. With an 8-bed unit for patients 18 and over, our caring team of doctors, nurses, and rehabilitation specialists work with you, providing a full line of services to help you restore your capabilities and get you back home and back to living. Logan Regional Medical Center, providing inpatient rehabilitation close to home.
If you got a big job to get done, don't just trust any flagging service. Call Diamond Flagging Service. Diamond Flagging Service keeps your community safe while also making sure it stays moving. Give Diamond Flagging Service a call today for their services. They also offer amazing job opportunities. Diamond Flagging Services, proud supporter of the Mountain Athletes. Back here in Minas Mexican Grill in Chapmanville, West Virginia. We got Coach James Barker to my left. I'm Darryl McCoy, and we got Cass Smith and Jake Golly here. These two right here. I've watched them tear it up all year on the JV circuit. You guys coming in. Cass, I'll start with you. You're obviously the third of a trio. Your brother was on here earlier, Eli. Your older brother. Isaiah, both of them experienced this moment. This is your first time experiencing it. What are you most excited about that they've told you? Hey, we get to do this, we get to do that. What are you excited about?
Mainly excited about just being able to go to the Civic Center. I've never been there. It's my first year going. I want to feel the feeling of winning a ring, how my brothers did. Never got to experience it yet. Hopefully I can this year.
Yeah, I say all the time, you're one of the best ball handlers in the business, and you're very lucky to have, your brother there with you, one of the best trainers in the business. Yeah. Talk about your role on JV, and how do you keep that mindset knowing, like, hey, anytime, something may happen that, Coach Napper needs me in this state tournament run, how do you keep your mindset straight and say, I got to stay ready?
Usually I just mentally prepare myself. I just think about every outcome that could happen, really. On the JV floor, I just try to get open, just pass and cut the ball. It's usually what Brad wants. Just ball movement is key to his offense. So I really picked up on that between my brothers, from Isaiah and Eli. Just pass and cut and just keep it really simple. Not much dribbling, just get to the rack if I can and score.
Jake, I'll ask you a couple questions. You seem like the kind of shooter that you're open when you walk into the gym. Is that a mentality thing, or is that just something that you've always done growing up?
I feel like it's always been like that. My brother, I feel like, was a pretty good shooter. I feel like you could say so. We've both we've trained since we were little. And when I'm open, I feel like I'm the best shooter out there. I just have that mentality.
Who's the better shooter?
I'm a little biased, so I'm gonna say me.
Okay, I like it. When you talk about training with your brother, go back, a little bit earlier in your childhood. Was it always outside shooting the ball on the driveway and doing those type of things?
Yeah, I've been playing since I was 3. So we've both been playing. since we were 3, and we've both played it together. Well, I didn't get to play much other than last year with him, but I went to every game, when he was with Tug and when he was here. I was there basically every game. I didn't miss. So.
Darryl, that's one thing I think gets lost sometimes in the way we do things now in society, is that going outside in the driveway and competing against your older brothers and your whoever's in the neighborhood. That's where basketball just truly is basketball, and that's where you get better. And it's I love that is how you grew up, because I think everybody kind of resonates with that, especially around here, is that because that's how everybody else used to play.
Yeah, a lot of kids don't. They're afraid to go to the pavement. Everybody, unless they're playing on hardwood, they don't want to play anymore. And they don't realize that's where you learn all them intangibles that a Dakota Dalton possesses. You learn that on the pavement, not necessarily on the hardwood. Jake, you coming in, obviously talked about your scoring ability, but you taking look, you and Cass, y'all are a pretty special tandem in the backcourt. When y'all go out there, do y'all see y'all's role of making sure night in, night out, the fan bases are excited and pumped up before the varsity team takes the floor?
Yeah, I feel like that's a big part of it, just being able to go out there and hopefully secure a win for the JV to get the varsity ready, get the fans into it, hopefully have a big crowd for the JV. That's always a good way, and just get the varsity ready, because you don't want to lose and then get varsity. But I think we want to go out there, win, show what we can do, and get the crowd ready for varsity.
That's one of them situations. You don't have to get ready if you stay ready, right?
No.
Cass, when you're competing against your older brothers, what's that like in the Smith household?
Well, usually, sometimes they'll break out into arguments, fights. Sometimes I've seen a bunch of fights between my other brothers. They're super competitive in our household. It's always been like that from Isaiah and Eli. But we always just take it to heart because we're brothers and we're just family. It's all love.
When you go back and look at your journey over a basketball career, what is special about Chapmanville? What has made this year special, and what makes this a special place to play basketball?
Just all the learning, like from Coach Stu, he's taught me a lot, and Brad. I'd say the learning, I've learned a bunch more than while I was at Lincoln County, and I love Lincoln County, but Chapmanville's where it's at. I like Chapmanville.
You and Jake pretty tight.
Yeah.
The 2-on-2s. Joey, Jake, you, Eli. Who's coming out?
I'm gonna say, okay, Eli gets to the rack, but I think just spot him up in the corner, feed him the whole time.
There you go. Jake, when you sit and look, you come from a rabid fan base, there in the Tug Valley area. You got that same kind here in Chapmanville. Talk about them two fan bases. What's so special and what's different about them?
Tug is a good fan base. I'm not taking anything away from there, but I love the town of Chapmanville, and I love the fans here, and I love everything about it. I love the school. I love this team. So, if I had to pick, it's Chapmanville every day.
You got anything else?
No, I think that's a great one to end on there, Darryl.
Yeah.
That's a great quote.
There you go. Well, guys, listen, soak this in. Hopefully this is the first of many going to Charleston. So take advantage of these opportunities. And like I said, y'all's row over there, whether y'all get in the game, hopefully, it works out to where y'all do get in the game. But if not, y'all's row on the bench and cheering them on, making sure they're ready. I always said, everybody on the team has a row, and you can be a star in that row. You just got to execute that row, and if you're on the bench, then be the best cheer. If they need water, get water. If you're on the floor, be the hardest worker. Go out and play whatever role they're given. So, look forward to seeing you two guys. I know y'all two special guards coming up, so look forward to seeing what y'all do in the future, and best of luck this week.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys. We'll be right back here live from Minas Mexican Grill.
Getting ready for sports means protecting those eyes. Up to 90% of sport-related eye injuries can be prevented with proper eye protection. White Eye Care knows this and is committed to providing the best protective sportswear for your child's eyes. As a proud sponsor of our community sports programs, we want to see our kids protected, from the little ones up to the big leagues. Our huge selection of eyewear makes finding that perfect pair easy. So win big this season. Call White Eye Care in Logan for an appointment today.
Call 304-752-3474 and see Missy Birchfield at your good friends at State Farm in Logan, West Virginia. She gives out free insurance quotes, so make sure you see her at State Farm.
Unfortunately, water, mold, or fire damage can happen to you. Restoration One of Southern West Virginia is available 24/7 to help take the stress out of your mess. Our primary goal is to respond and restore your property back to normal as quickly and safely as possible. When disaster strikes, Restoration One is your go-to cleanup crew. Save our number now in case you need us later. Whether the job is big or small, give Restoration One a call. 304-443-4959.
Looking for a new healthcare provider? Come see us at Tug Valley Wellness Clinic. We take all patients from the ages 2 and up. Our staff has over 30 years of medical experience. We do everything from DOT physicals, wellness exams, adult and child, walk-in visits, and more. Call us today at 304-236-3601 or reach us Monday through Friday.
Unfortunately, water, mold, or fire damage can happen to you. Restoration One of Southern West Virginia is available 24/7 to help take the stress out of your mess. Our primary goal is to respond and restore your property back to normal as quickly and safely as possible. When disaster strikes, Restoration One is your go-to cleanup crew. Save our number now in case you need us later. Whether the job is big or small, give Restoration One a call. 304-443-4959.
It's going down. Meet me in the. Meet me in the. Meet me in the. It's going down.
Guys, it's going down at 23 Camper Sales. Don't delay your dreams any longer. Come to 23 Camper Sales, where your dream camper is waiting.
All right, guys, we're back here at Minas Mexican Grill. James Barker, Darryl McCoy. Coach, I'll let you get us started.
All right, we got Eli Sperry, Jay Brock, Kyler Blair with us. They're our last three, Darryl, and we'll start with Kyler first because I know a little bit more about Kyler. He played football for us this year. Kyler, you come off the bench, sometimes in varsity, play a lot of JV minutes. Very intelligent basketball player. Where did you learn that from?
I've just been around the game a lot. Defensively, man, at Hearts, we've always that's what we've been after. And then coming here, Stewart, Trey, they put my offense a lot, my IQ, stuff like that.
Jay, Brad talked about a great stat for you this season. You're shooting 18% from three and halfway through the season, and now, or 16%. Now you're shooting 48% from three. What changed? What happened?
I started staying in the gym more, getting late night sessions in. So yeah.
All right, and Eli, you've played some varsity, a lot of JV ball here this season. But when you get into the JV, you're almost a do it all. You can play from the inside, you can play from the outside. Really, really aggressive. What's kind of been your mentality this year?
My mentality's always been whenever I get out there, I just like me over anybody. So I just like being aggressive as I can, working on my game. If I get in varsity, it helps my confidence in the game in varsity. So.
Jay, you've played a pivotal role this season in kind of having Chapmanville play their best basketball at the right time, which has been over the last 6 weeks. And your turnaround not only from shooting from the outside, but your defense has just been phenomenal for over the last month and a half. What has kind of made you want to be more of a defensive shutdown player?
Beginning of the year, I was being lazy and stuff. And Brad, he talked to me about that. That's not championship effort. If we want to win a championship, we're gonna have to play defense, step up, and play 100% full game. That's what I started doing.
Yeah, you can see a concerned effort there from your defensive side of the ball and getting better. And I think that's translated to your offense as well. You've shot the ball lights out for the most part in the last, like I said, 6 weeks of the season. What are you looking forward to going over in Charleston? This is the first year you're going to be really able to showcase your talents on a state stage.
I tend to win the state championship, put on for the city of Chapmanville. Yeah, that's what I'm excited for.
Eli, you provide, when you've gone in on varsity action, you provide a spark off the bench. It's just a high motor. You've done a really good job, not only in the varsity side, but the JV side as well. You made a really good quote there that I'm probably going to steal. You like yourself. You like me over anybody. And what's that mentality like when you're out there competing against guys like Jay in practice and Benji and stuff like that, and that they're really good basketball players and have great seasons? How do you just continue to keep going at them and still think that you belong?
I just approach the game in a way where it's like, if you go in thinking where you can't play with these guys and you're not going to be able to play with those guys. Like if you go in thinking, oh yeah, I can play with these guys, I'm the same caliber as these guys, and you play the same way. So that's how I approach every practice. I just go and play.
Yeah, I think that's a great mentality. You rise to their level rather than going down on getting down on yourself. Kyler, you've been in a similar spot, and in football you had to play against a lot of good competition in football. You're doing it in basketball again. It's been a crazy freshman year for you to go and be a part of a state semifinal team in football, and now going to Charleston to compete for a state championship. What's the learning curve been for both of those sports?
It's been crazy. It's really taught me how to grind. Like football, man, we came in as an underdog, beat Bridgeport. It was crazy, and just the effort I saw those older guys giving, it's taught me a lot. Coming into basketball, we're the 1 seed, seeing Benji, Eli, Jay, all them boys getting extra working every day. It's just awesome to see it, and it's taught me a lot.
Jay, when you get ready to take the floor in Charleston and be in that starting five, what is going to be going through your head there at 5:30 on Wednesday?
Go out and execute and just get the job done.
I'll take. I know you guys got another thing y'all got to get to, but Jay, I'll ask you real quick. This year, we talked about your defensive side, and a lot of what Chapmanville does starts with you on defense. You, Logan, getting easy turnovers, getting y'all easy buckets in transition. And I always say, you're one of the better transition players in Southern West Virginia. Does it make you work that much harder knowing like, hey, we can make our job a lot easier if we just get some turnovers and get easy buckets in transition?
Yes, sir. Brad says the same thing. Playing defense creates leak outs and easy buckets, and creates runs for us.
I'm glad you mentioned that because, over the year, I could tell, that you made a conscious effort, to put that kind of effort in and, to put that kind of work in. At the beginning of the year, you said it a while ago, there was times in games where it seemed like you was taking plays off or, maybe, not doing exactly what Coach wanted. And, it seemed like, at the beginning of the year, you and Coach Napper's relationship was, kind of, on and off. But now it seems it's really neat to see you guys and how you bonded over the year, and how you've matured. Just hearing you talk can tell that, whatever he's saying has clearly got through to you.
Yes, sir. I just got to play 100% if I want to play at the next level.
Yeah.
No plays off.
You're a big time player. I seen it this summer. I seen it, at the zip zone to start the year. In the zip zone, it was you and Eli put on a show, without the football players there. Yeah. And that really let everybody know what kind of player Jay Brock is, and Jay, I think anybody will tell you're the X factor on this team. If you play good, you play your game, then y'all's normally got a chance to blow people out. If not, then it could be an uphill battle. So it's really neat to see you in your game continue to get better, and main thing that I see is your ability to be coached. It seems like you've accepted that, and that's made you 10 times better player, and I can't wait to see what you do in Charleston now, this version of Jay Brock.
Yes, sir. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
His fit's a lot better too. I like that the tracksuit he's got. It's a lot better than Keaton's. Keaton Carey had that powder puff shirt on, so we're in good shape, right?
Yes, sir.
He don't take it. He takes his fashion advice from Logan.
Yeah,
not Keaton. But guys, Eli, Kyler, I tell you, it was really neat. Eli, I've seen you over the past couple of years really mature too on the JV circuit, and what do you you want to work on this summer to make sure that you can jump in and play a big role next year for the team?
My biggest thing is I want to be able to just take that big step up on defense and just more effort on the court, because that's been my biggest problem this year in playtime, just not giving enough effort, not playing as good as defense as I want to play.
And I'm sure Coach Napper welcomes that. That's one thing that if there's anything that's hard to get kids to do, it's buy in on that defensive side. Kyler, I'll ask you the same question. What do you got to get better at?
I think I definitely get quicker. I'm not the fastest yet, but I'll get there. And my offense, I've got to be able to shoot the ball better.
Okay.
I think I do those two things, and I can see a lot of varsity minutes next year.
Okay. Well, guys, that's going to take us to our next break. When we come back, we'll have Ashley Dalton in the house with us. Come right back and join us. State Tournament Tip-Off Show.
Smokey Armstrong with United Motorsports in Danville. Stop in today and check out the great deals on Can-Am, side-by-sides, and ATVs. And let the good times roll on a new Kawasaki, plus promo financing available now. And savings up to $7,500 on selected units. Right now, get limited time offers on new Yamaha motorcycles. We've got new, pre-owned. We have parts, service, and financing to get you approved. United Motorsports in Danville, West Virginia.
Here at Logan Bank and Trust, we are committed to serving the needs of the Southern Coalfields.
For any of your financial needs, we encourage you to stop by one of our 5 convenient locations or apply online today at lbnt.com.
Whether you choose to stop by or visit us online, our team is here to help you every step of the way.
Buying a new home, expanding your business? Choose Logan Bank and Trust. Let's bank together.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
And we're back here at Minas Mexican Grill in Chapmanville, West Virginia, as we got James Barker, I'm Darryl McCoy, and we got one of the co-owners and one of the key pieces here to the Chapmanville Tigers, Ashley Dalton. And Ashley, I know they got an engagement, and I'm sure you're going to follow them up there, but I wanted to talk to you a second before we got out of here. Coach Barker alluded that every one of them pictures you look up on that wall, you see a young Dakota Dalton, which is your son. Is it neat seeing it come full circle? And this, I know last year he made it there, but this year, they have a chance to really do something special. And there's only 5 teams in the state of West Virginia ever won 3 in a row. And if y'all do it, it's got to start here this year.
Absolutely. And they're young. They're all, most of the core is sophomores. Of course, Benji and Eli being seniors is really, really big for us because, they've been in the state tournament atmosphere several times, both of them. Won a state title in 23 when they were freshmen with Saldine and those guys.
Yeah.
So those guys actually have a chance to have 2 if we can make a run. But, Dakota's been with Brad since, he's been here, 11 years now, James?
Yeah.
So, but the really crazy stat about that is 11 years, 10 trips to Charleston in 11 years. How crazy is that?
And what year was it y'all didn't make it?
22.
In 22.
22, yeah.
Year after COVID.
The year after COVID. Isaiah and Brody were sophomores.
Okay.
And then we had my boys at Pikeville.
Oh, Zion.
Zion.
Yeah.
Zion was a freshman. So we were really inexperienced. We lost Obina and Phillip and those guys that had carried us for so long. So those guys didn't make it. We actually were the higher seed, and Bluefield had to come to us in the region and upset us here at home. And I still say it was inexperience, and them guys had to want it more than everybody else. And after that, it's kind of, Coach Napper, he's just that guy that when it gets close to tournament time, and the kids that plays for him will tell you, he goes from being their buddy to the hardest pusher they'll ever meet.
Yeah, well, and we've seen, I just talked to him. It's really neat to see how Coach Napper has got through to Jay Brock, and the road that I think Jay is the X factor of this team.
Jay's an X factor. The really crazy part is the amount of chemistry, because so when we lost that Ashland game, we were at a point with the team that it wasn't like there was jealousy or anything like that, but we were just like we were lost, you know. So at that time you're getting Keaton back, and you got to realize Jay and Keaton and Lowe and Coda has been together in every basketball game they've played together for the last 2 years.
Then you add a Kai.
And then, Benji don't have to do as much, so it allows Benji to be Benji, Eli just to be Eli. So as Coach Napper started molding them after that game, it was just like the roles flipped. They all understand what they had to do. Confidence went up. And I tell them all, I said, here's how it works. And I watched it in AAU for years with the same group of kids. Keaton will tell Jay and Coda, you want to have shooting confidence? Keaton tells them, hey, you just shoot it. I'll go get it.
Yeah.
So there's no holdback. There's no hesitation. They just play ball.
Yeah.
When you look at, as a dad, when you look back at this kind of run that you've been on since Dakota's been really little, you've had some special moments together as father and son. It has to – it's not pressure, but there's got to be this thought in your head that I'd like to share that ultimate moment with him. And you have that opportunity this year. When you look at the bracket, you're obviously the 1 seed playing against Robert C. Byrd. That 4-5 matchups, Winfield and Ripley. And then whoever comes out of that next side, aside from North Marion, you've seen most of those teams. You've seen the Bridgeport.
We've played Bridgeport,
and you saw Shady throughout the years.
Yeah, we played Shady early back in the summer with summer ball down to Huntington and actually played them twice. Played them at State and at Huntington right at the end of summer ball. So, those kids have kind of grew up in the same AAU era as our guys, so they've actually played against each other. Sexton's really, really good. The Short boy's really, really good. And they've kind of competed with Dakota and Keaton and these boys. They played each other, 3 or 4 times this past summer in AAU. They play for Bryce Radford. So, we're real familiar with who they are, and they're real familiar with who we are. And for us, that would be the game we would want for Saturday.
Right.
So,
when you go back a little bit to 8th grade, Dakota's 8th grade, 7th grade year even, this is kind of the moment you guys have been building to.
Yeah,
because this is that super sophomore group we've talked about. But this is that moment for them. And you've had some pieces and added some pieces here and there, but the core's kind of remained intact.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, years ago we sat back, me and Coach Snapper, and we said, okay, this group, from the time we were little, Coach Mike had them all the way up through Buddy League, and then they came to me in middle school, and now we've kind of flipped roles with me and Michael. I'm back to coaching Buddy League with Chubbs, and Michael's at the middle school, but it's all been Brad's creation from the beginning. It's because we teach the same thing he does.
Right.
So it works out really, really well. But yeah, it's kind of the group that we've hovered around waiting on.
When you take and look at this group, one thing that in Chapmanville, things are different. When you take and look, y'all got the big light up floors, y'all got all the bells and whistles, y'all got the Chapmanville bus now.
The bus, yeah.
I know you've been a huge supporter, and obviously you got some blood in the game, but when you take and look, Chapmanville, you got to see exactly how special and why this place is so special tonight. A packed house for a state tournament tip-off show. That's got to be a big reason why y'all continue to put yourself in these shoes, because of the atmosphere y'all created.
Well, and that's the thing that a lot of places don't understand. They're like, man, why saw these kids go to Chapmanville to play basketball? Come to a game.
Yeah.
Come to a game. Because and even in football, James will tell you, come to a game.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to sit. It's slam packed. The atmosphere is crazy. The community here is beyond. Tonight, there was people standing out front waiting on tables.
Yeah.
People standing in here eating off other people's tables because there were so many people.
Yeah.
So, and we'd like to thank Minas for having us down tonight.
Yeah. Awesome. And then I'm offering to feed the team before they head off to Charleston.
Yeah.
When you take and look, this team here, Coach Barker knows, and as he said earlier, he'll take credit for Dakota's passing ability. But
I promise he didn't learn it from his middle school coach.
When you take and let him, Benji, and I look at them too as kind of the leaders of this thing.
Yeah.
Do you think a lot of that run that they made in football, taught them how to be leaders and gave them that much more confidence heading into basketball season?
Oh yeah, and Coach Barker will tell you, with Dakota, when he, and I was an anti-football guy.
Yeah.
And got thrust into having a coach. We had a middle school coach decided he wanted to quit with a week before season, and here I was stuck, and I looked at Coach Barker and said, I really don't know football. He said, well, Nick Saban don't call the plays either. So we just kind of hung on, and they developed really, really well. And I think the football made him who he is.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. I think everything he was lacking on the hardwood, he learned and absorbed from football.
Oh, yeah.
When you're put in, especially at the quarterback position, when you're put in those spots where we always tell everybody there's two people touch the ball every play. It's center and the quarterback. And regardless of how good you are, how bad you are, all eyes are on you at the quarterback position. You're either going to sink or you're going to swim in pressure situations. And, I think Dakota learned to have confidence in himself. And I really go back and Coach Dalton probably agree with this. I go back to that Roane County playoff game. This is just football only.
Yeah.
You go back to that Roane County football game his freshman year where we basically completely ditched our game plan and said, all right, Dakota, go do what you do. And he played really well, and that gave him the confidence for football this year. But what I see from basketball is there's been times where his shot hasn't fallen this year. He hasn't pouted. He hasn't gotten his head down. He's found other ways, like you've said, Darryl, to make his team around him better. And that's what great players do, and that's why you see Dakota Dalton's name mentioned in a lot of those great player conversations. And you learn that from being in competitive situations and not having the right player, the right answer, but you pick yourself back up and you go do it again. And he's done that phenomenally this year.
Yeah, it's just maturity. He's matured really well, and you guys brought him along. Brad's brought him along, but it's like me and you were talking the other day of how high his IQ is in basketball, and I said, well, listen. From the time he got off the bottle, he's been with Brad.
Yeah.
So he's kind of been what Brad molded.
Yeah.
So I tell everybody, I said, if you want to see what Brennan's going to be, Cody got the same lectures.
And another one that's high IQ. That's you mentioned another leader is Benji.
Yeah.
I mean, Benji's been around basketball since he could crawl, and he's another one of those kids that has been just. Thrown in competition since he was little and has just thrived.
And a football guy, It took me coaching football to really understand that the lessons through adversity that football teaches is different than the adversity you learn in basketball. So it's took our kids that are sophomores and they're senior matured mentally because they've had to battle in situations that most kids that just play basketball don't have to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing y'all been on a tear here of real quick. Obviously the Ashland game. A lot of things changed in that game. And I think it was something that y'all needed. I think when you look back at it now, it was a good thing.
Oh yeah.
Just talk about how do you get these boys knowing that hey, they're voted number one overall. Everybody says hey, you may be top 3 team regardless of class. Going into the state tournament. How do you keep them focused? And because I was always the type of guy I like losing one late. But this team. They've not even, they've had a game or two, a couple games ago where they started kind of slow, but come back out. How do you keep them focused?
Well, and that's where the leadership comes in. We went in the locker room. We played that game the other night, and first quarter we came out and we were kind of lackadaisical, and it just felt like we were going through the motions. No intensity, no whatever. Coach Napper got in them really hard after the first quarter. They picked it up some, but when we come into that locker room, Eli Smith and Benji both all in their grills.
Yeah.
And that's what it takes is that senior leader because they know them guys has been there.
Yeah.
And that's where it's at. I mean, Eli told them, said, listen, we can't win a state title like this. We can't have a bad quarter. We have a bad quarter, we lose. Because at this level, you're playing the best and the best. And with that leadership, those young guys picked it up. Let's go.
Yeah, listen, I think Jay Brock to me is the X factor, but the other one that definitely want to give a shout out is Logan Hovac. You know how far he's come, you know, and what he does for this team. I don't think people realize how important his role is.
Well, and Logan's been doing it. You know, me and Bob run the AAU circuit with those boys for the last couple of years, and Logan has matured and grew so much with his game. He went from being a kid last year that struggled in some pressure situations, had a few turnovers that we would worry about. What happens if we get in this? To a kid that we're like, Logan, you're open, shoot the ball. You got to be. They got to respect you. So what does he do? He leads the team in 3-point percentage. How crazy is that?
That's insane.
Yeah. Then you got a guy that needs locked down. You know who's going to be playing him? Logan Hovac.
Yeah.
He's your lockdown man-to-man defender. He's going to get up in you. He's going to give you a hard way to go. And by the time that third quarter ends, Logan has wore on their best player so bad, he's so tired he can't go. So that's the intangibles that people don't see with Logan. And his ability to get in the lane now and kick to Jay and Coda has made their job so much easier.
Well, it's allowed Dakota Dalton to focus more on the offensive end because he's not having to put that kind of effort on the defensive end because he's got two other guys that are stepping up helping out in that area.
So Coda gets kind of mad about that. And I'll tell you a little story. So Brad puts Dakota always on the guy that's their null factor, the guy that don't score a lot. He's just kind of the real good role player, rough, tough, that guy. And Coda's like, Brad, man, I'm a good defender. I can play and defend anybody on the floor. And Coda will tell you, I want the best player they got. But that's just Dakota. But the X factor is, as long as Logan's chasing that cat around, Coda's getting a rest over here. You know, Jay gets to take a break. Jay's a lockdown defender. But they get a little bit of break because Logan does what Logan does. Kai comes in and does what Kai does. Kai's one of the best defenders in the state. He's so long and strong, you can't push him around. And because those two are such great teammates and they understand, well, my role is to go out here, hit my shots when I got them, defend who Brad wants me to defend, and play at a very, very high intensity level. They make us what we are. Without those two guys, with Kai and Logan, we're not Chapmanville that we are right now.
Yeah, when you talk about Chapmanville's history in the state tournament and all these, I mean, you know, D1 basketball players that have gone through and everything, you know, they kind of set the scene for what we're going to see Wednesday in Charleston. And what a session that's going to be Wednesday in Charleston.
Oh, my goodness.
You couldn't ask for a better.
Yeah. So
I guess Tug was there. You have a better one, but
the Tug session tomorrow with Tug and Wayne, back to back, it's going to be a really, really good one.
St. Joe starts the day out.
Yeah. So those are three of our. You know, I'm good friends with all those coaches. Then you turn around and you got our session Wednesday night. So it's us, Bird. Right behind us, Logan, Wyoming East. Huge rival. If ain't nobody been around the last 30 years, you missed all that. They fit all over gym floors and everything Logan and Wyoming East has. So then you turn around and the final game is the Winfield-Ripley game. Two more local teams.
Right.
Both schools, you know, all those schools are within 35-minute drive of the school except for Bird, of the Coliseum. And they're all going to play the same session. So there's no reason for anybody in Logan County to be home.
Right.
They all should be over. If you want to find somebody in Logan County, you better come to Charleston.
I agree. It should be a phenomenal session Wednesday. I'd like to see everybody rooting for everybody. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean that's the kind of way it needs to be.
And I think that's where it's at now. You know, Dakota and Eli and them. If you go to a Logan, Darryl will tell you go to a Logan game,
they're there,
and we're not playing. Them boys are up there supporting.
Yeah.
Big game with Capital. Logan's whole team down here supporting us. You know what I mean?
But I will say that game's got to happen again next year. Got to. There's no way that game should not happen. I think, myself, I think all of the Logan County schools should play each other. But they
will in football.
They will in football.
I don't think you'll see it next year. I think you're going to see it if Chapmanville drops back to Double A. You'll have to see it.
You'll have to see it at that point, which will be Keatley and Coda and them senior year.
Yeah.
As but I don't think you'll see it next year in basketball.
They realign everything going into their senior year, and we'll drop back to Double A as far as if the numbers stay as consistent as they are now.
The powers that be, it's got to happen. That basketball ain't the same without them two playing each other. Make it happen no matter what it takes.
It lets me sleep good at night.
Yeah, I guarantee it does. Both of y'all. But, here's the thing I'll say. Last year, the way that y'all lost in Charleston, it left a sour taste in your mouth.
It
and I
did.
know Brad had some regrets too.
Yeah.
But, going in this year, do you think that young group losing at an early stage that you'll look back at that as a good thing, saying, hey, we needed to drop that one to, seal off these next three?
Yeah, and, you want to win them all. That's your goal at the beginning of the season. You don't want to lose a game, and you want to win a state title. Well, Brad builds a schedule to where it's almost impossible. Yeah. Obina and Drew Williamson, the boys of the boys, they all lost a game. So maybe one, maybe two, but they lost one here or there. Yeah. But you want to win. Everybody wants to win. The finalization is, can we reel off 3 in a row? We got to win the first one first. Yeah. And, I think we're in the right direction. I think we got a really good shot. But in Charleston, things are different. The Coliseum floor is so big, and it opens up, and, it's different. It's you're either a shooter or you're not. If you're not a shooter over there, you'll know you're not a shooter. Yeah. It ain't going to take you long. But I think last year that loss was if there is such thing as a good loss, it put a bad taste in their mouth. And even through the summer, they would tell you, hey, we're in here working out for one reason. Yeah. And that's Charleston.
Yeah. No, well, that's the thing that worries you. If these boys go in there and overlook Robert C. Byrd on that bigger floor, them athletes could come in handy. And
it's one of those things that we told them. Shots are going to fall, and you're going to miss some. But you got to understand what we got to do is what we do best, and that is the mismatches with Benji, the mismatches with Keaton. When you have screens and you have those mismatches, and we've got to see those extra guys, those extra passes. You do that, ball goes in the paint, we're going to be hard to handle.
Yeah, I think y'all's team is built for this. I think, when you take a look, you mentioned, even the shooters on that floor, the depth perception is different. So you're not always going to shoot the same way you do. We've seen great shooters struggle, Joey Golly last year, when you take and look at this, team here, you guys don't rely on shooting, y'all rely on mismatches, going down low, mid-range jumpers, I think that this team is built for success in Charleston.
Yeah, well, we go on the floor as a lineup of Coda being the smallest guy in the starting lineup right now at 6'3", right at 6'4". Eli's 6'4", pushing 6'5", and then Keaton's 6'7", Benji's 6'6", and they're not little boys by no means. Coda's 6'3", pushing 6'4", and he's 200 pounds. Yeah. So we're built, for my opinion, for this. Kai comes off the bench, 6'5", 200 pounds. Yeah. So we're going to keep running some big old bodies at you, and we'll see what happens.
Well, as you're sitting here, hopefully you'll see this same kind of outpouring of support, as you did tonight here from the fan base. And, look forward to Wednesday. Some of the fans want to know, what time do y'all tip off on Wednesday?
5:30.
5:30.
Yep, first game of the second session on Wednesday. If they'll look on D&D webpage, we'll post it tonight, and put the schedule out for all 4 classes, and that way they know when to check in, and stay logged into D&D. We'll be over there doing live interviews and catch-ups and keeping you updated as games go through.
All along the way. I can't wait. I'll have to start the week off in Kentucky, and I'll get back down there Friday, hopefully, and hopefully you already got a win under your belt, and that the game that worries me, is in that second round. I just don't think you could overlook Winfield.
No, absolutely not. And Ripley, we've prepared for both teams in the last couple of weeks, looking at going in. Brody Ilderton is a monster. Yeah. He's tough. He's physical. He beats and bangs. And last year they beat us at Winfield last year, and Brody had a tremendous game. They got guards that can shoot it. They got guards that are athletic. They're another team that's built for the show, for the dance. I think Ripley is just as equal as good. They're big, lead them in scoring. They got guards that can shoot the ball really, really well at a really high level. it's going to be interesting to see how teams match up with each other, you know. And again, Charleston's a different monster. I've had, you know, we've sat over there and watched teams that we thought should blow other teams out and get beat.
Yeah.
But again, it's a state championship. It's one and done. And, you know, we got to perform at a high level every game, and we got to take it one game at a time.
Absolutely. And listen, you guys, make sure it starts tomorrow. St. Joe kick off the state tournament. St. Joe, Wayne, Tug Valley, all three in a row. So make sure you get out, support them. And then the Chapmanville Tigers will be down on Wednesday as the Tigers will take the floor against Robert C. Byrd. And guys, just go down, support all your local teams, whether it's Chapmanville, Logan, Wyoming East, you know, St. Joe, Tug, it don't matter. Get down there, support them, a great event, and I can't wait to see the floor this year. They've redone it.
Oh, it's nice.
Yeah, it's sharp.
It's pretty.
Yeah, so it's going to be really neat. Let's see if Coach Brad Napper and the Tigers can cut the nets down once again. But we want to thank Minas Mexican Restaurant for feeding all the players, and we want to thank Diamond Flagging Company for making sure we're able to keep this show, get this show going, and make it an annual thing here. So again, guys, without our sponsors, we are nothing. But come join us in Charleston, starting tomorrow, 9 o'clock at the Coliseum.